I believe the most important role of software in science is to make the right thing the easy thing. But what is right, what is easy, and what are our obligations to make it so, which is when I hit the slide, and it goes to the next slide. There we go. Okay. So, what is right, what is easy, and what are our obligations to make it so? That's what we have the pleasure of exploring here this morning on our final day of learning, connecting, and dreaming here at JupyterCon. What is right, what is easy, and what is our collective responsibility to answer these questions could take us on a long journey through moral philosophy that ends in many more questions than answers. But for this talk, I'm choosing to share some principles and mindsets that have helped me address this question in my own software design work at the National Institutes of Health's All of Us Research Program's Researcher Workbench. All of Us remains as an ambitious precision medicine initiative with the goal of collecting data across the lifespan for 1 million or more people. The Researcher Workbench is the program's secure research environment for more than 15,000 researchers now accessing some of the world's most diverse genomic health data publicly available for research. To set expectations up front, despite having spent the better part of a decade on this work, there is no single answer to how to make the right choice easy. You will not walk away today with a moral checklist, but my hope is that you will walk away with an expanded curiosity that will bring you clarity when you are faced with big and small decisions in your work. We begin this exploration by looking at ourselves and the roles we play in defining right and easy. As I've walked around the conference and attended sessions, meeting old and new colleagues, I couldn't help but notice the breadth of roles represented here at JupyterCon. We are educators, we are engineers, we are scientists and project managers and funders. And as a whole, we are here in some form or fashion to steward the open source standard for computational education and research, data science, and machine learning. As David said yesterday, this work is radical, it is revolutionary. But not everyone who uses Jupyter or who benefits from it is here. It could be a denied visa, a defunded position, or any number of structural barriers to participation. So as I continue here, I ask that you recognize what it took for you to be here and honor that by sharing what you learn outside of here. Now, you may think about your work at Jupyter or with Jupyter as a mere technical pursuit, and coming to a talk on ethics is not entirely for you. But when you contribute to and champion such impactful open source software like Jupyter, whether you believe it or not, you are making a statement about how things should be. Think about it. Free access to information, collaborative knowledge building, decentralized governance. These are all built into how we, the Jupyter community, are nudging science, education, technology, and health towards greater ends. Why do we do it this way? Because we think it's the right thing to do. In 2021, I stepped into the role of Director of Research Experience at All of Us. My primary remit was to direct the teams who research, design, and test new features with our researcher community. Often, we were working through the backlog, which consisted of many things we already knew we wanted to fix. The community wanted to better understand new features, so we created stronger release notes. New researchers struggled with the access process, so we designed a new onboarding experience. People wanted to connect with real people, so we hosted regular live office hours. And early career scientists, they needed funding to do this research, so we even awarded grants to use our data. But there was one request that sent me and my colleagues on a 2-year adventure to understand just how hard it can be to make the right thing the easy thing. I want to share my notebook. Now, I know some of you are thinking, wait, publishing and sharing the notebook, isn't that part of the point here? Yes, you are absolutely correct. Though in this case, with Jupyter deployed inside a secure environment, developed by a multi-site consortium, funded by the federal government, and governed by international genomic privacy laws, I just want to publish my notebook turns out to not be such a small lift. When you're building the plane while it's flying, this is my joke. By the way, has anyone ever not been building the plane while it's flying? I don't know. I haven't found that place yet. Let me know if you're hiring. A big complex work often takes a back seat to simpler, faster wins. So the publish feature sat there. We rolled out tools for data browsing. We added new programming languages, released demonstration projects. The researcher community grew, and our publications started rolling out. A year went by since the Workbench had launched, and I had moved on to a new position. I was no longer just focused on the researcher experience, but overseeing all the touch points to the program, including interactions with our patients, our research participants. I had lost sight of the details on the Workbench roadmap, but every once in a while, an eager new person would come on board and eventually flag for me, researchers really want to publish their notebook. I know, I would say, sometimes collegially, sometimes with tiredness and apathy. I knew I wasn't alone in caring about this, but the conversation was not progressing beyond an idea. Some common refrains were, researchers can share privately, so there's a good workaround. No real issue to solve. But there was a deeper opportunity. Publicly publishing in-progress work was not just a feature. It was a value statement. By enabling sharing, a core tenet of open knowledge, we could make the right choice possible before we even talk about making it easy. We had to make it possible. A year later, in 2023, we got our chance, the year of open science. Now, I want to pause here. I'm about to tell you a story celebrating openness, but I would be remiss if I didn't first acknowledge that openness is not neutral. For communities who have been harmed by research, open data and open science can sound a lot like extracted data and extracted science. The very openness we celebrate can reproduce patterns of harm when we are not careful, and they do. United States President Joe Biden and the White House Office of Science and Technology Policy made a declaration to raise awareness and make progress on open science. Many of you in this room, including the Jupyter project teams, were rightfully celebrated during this time. This type of public decree was exactly what my quiet behind-the-scenes team needed to make our workspace sharing a reality. 4 of us, just 4 of us from a consortium of almost 1,500 people got together and decided, let's ask, is all of us open science? And as part of that answer, we'll say yes, and to lead even further, let's enable publishing workspaces. We had small group meetings. We wrangled the policy, budget, and technical details. We even submitted a scientific poster to the internal face-to-face meeting to bring momentum and attention to this critical idea. By the end of 2023, we aligned the right people, budget, and technology to bring this solution to life. I spent 2 years advocating for open science, and all I got was a 60 by 60 pixels of a button with the word publish on it. Now I realize 2 years actually, maybe that's light speed in Jupyter time, but for me it felt like an eternity. And I'm proud to say my portfolio now has just 1 slide with a single button and this story behind it. I know some of you are thinking, seriously, Meg, this is so inefficient. And some of you are thinking, wow, okay, so I'm not alone in my efforts to persevere through bureaucracy to advance open science. The publish button story is one of many stories of confronting values while coding, but one that I think illustrates the leverage to create change that exists for people in the role of software design. Software for Science is a unique site for understanding how science can be shaped by technology. Because so much of science happens through software, what we choose to prioritize or ignore in code has a direct impact on what the research enterprise can produce. This whole right thing, easy thing mantra is not just for hallway posters. It has real power to drive priorities. The next time you are in a prioritization meeting, you might ask, how will this idea move the needle on making the right thing the easy thing compared to the next idea? But be warned, even though this might sound like a fair set of questions, you may hear pushback. Notably, some may say, we can't make science too easy, or people who don't know what they are doing will mess it up. To which I remind folks that most violations of research conduct have been done by experienced researchers. Or they might say, scientists are used to struggling, they can figure it out. I hate this one. To which I ask, why add to the struggle? That seems like more work in the long run. Or maybe there's just a little conflict between reducing barriers and access to science with this stated position. But despite these contrarian responses, I am proud to say that my colleagues over the years have adopted this frame to help guide them. But even when we do make these priority decisions, I know the implementation phase can really test the balance between what is right and what is easy. One clear case at all of us came when it was time to release genomic data, and the policy office had developed a rigorous additional training module to our responsible conduct of research training. Some considered this a too high barrier to an already multi-step access process, while others fiercely advocated that additional friction met the seriousness of working with such sensitive data. I see somebody waving. Is that for me? No. Okay, I'll keep going. To find the balance between friction and ease, the policy office and the design team partnered up to chunk out the content. We built engaging workflows and made sure that the barrier was high enough for education, but low enough to provide access. My proudest moments at all of us have been the opportunities where product design and policy come together on a project. Another project that really stands out was when we teamed up with the researcher. We teamed up to make the researcher training more visible, not just at registration or renewal, but throughout the researcher experience. We started imagining, what if, right before someone was about to do something that might break the data use policy, the system could gently remind them of the policy. Because, let's be honest, researchers who work across so many data sets, each with their own version of the rules, having a gentle, just-in-time reminder could actually help them stay compliant. This is another way we can help people do the right thing. Now, that project hasn't gone much further beyond some helpful alerts at the data download step. Things like, are you sure you want to download this? Remember our data use policy. But I share it here because maybe it sparks something for you. Are there parts of your software where it's easy to fail? And what are you doing to help? So what is easy and who decides? And what is right and who decides that? For most of us, what's right is rooted in our team or organization's core values. At all of us, for example, our first core value is participants as partners. That means nothing goes out the door without meaningful input from the very people whose data made the research possible. Now, what's easy shouldn't be mistaken for frictionless, especially in software for science. A little healthy friction can be a good thing. It slows us down just enough to think and to support each other just in time and to help recover when mistakes are inevitably made. Outside of my day job, I spend time with a lot of open source and open science folks who are also thinking about design. And I find myself going back to the same reminders. If you are in a position to make software better, keep coming back to the basics. Usability, accessibility, and most importantly, honesty in design. Those are the foundations that make the right thing the easy thing. My last day at all of us was 4 days ago, so standing here with you feels like closing one chapter and opening another. For the past 6 years, I've been building systems that make openness possible, systems that invite people in, that reward collaboration, that make participation safer, easier, and more meaningful. And I've learned something simple along the way, that making the right thing easy is not a switch you flip or a checklist. It is a practice, a daily choice to align what we build with what we believe. And to take stock of what we believe when that work starts to feel out of alignment. That's what this talk has really been about. Not the theory of ethics, but the practice of it. recognizing that our designs, our defaults, our processes, they are not neutral. They shape the moral field around us. Sometimes that looks like a new feature release or a new policy update. Other times, it's just a quiet moment with a teammate where you say, I think there's another way, one that keeps our values intact. Or maybe it's, can we still say these are our values if we make this choice? Or lately, it may be, where is the line for each of us, and when will we know it's been crossed? If there's one thing I hope you carry with you, it's that ethics isn't a cute afterthought. It's infrastructure. It's in the way we design, code, document, and govern. And every one of us, whether you are a maintainer, a researcher, an educator, or a contributor, is already shaping how knowledge is shared and who gets to take part. That's a huge responsibility and a privilege, because it means we get to decide together what kind of scientific future we leave behind. As for me, I'm carrying these lessons forward into my next chapter. I'm introducing a new way of bringing these topics to scientific communities as the founder of both and neither, and I'm stepping into a new full-time role leading product for the nation's first oncology-focused venture studio, continuing this same mission: to design systems where the right thing is quite literally the easy thing. But I want to be honest with you. Making the right thing the easy thing is often the hard thing. It's often the lonely thing. But maybe some things should be hard. Maybe the friction, the 2 years, the policy wrangling, the constant questioning is not a bug. It's proof that we're taking this work seriously enough. But still, it's the right thing. And it's the work worth doing. So thank you for being here, for building, for questioning, and for dreaming about what science could become. And let's keep making the right thing the easy thing together.